Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we are doing the season review of the 23-24 Real Madrid year, and it's been a fantastic year. We broke plenty of records, we won plenty of trophies, and overall it was just a fantastic year to look back on. And I think going back on this year, it will look like a fantastic year. So let's get started because at the start of the season we obviously played 4 preseason games. We were okay in them, I thought. Apart from the Barcelona game, we lost 3-0. But obviously the main talking points of the summer were the fact we lost Benzema, we lost Asensio, Courtois got injured. We were soon to find out that Eder Militao also got injured. We refused to sign an official striker replacement apart from Joselu. We brought Brahim Diaz back from loan. We obviously signed Jude Bellingham, and we signed Fran Garcia as well. So that was our summer business overall. And the consensus from me was, I think we didn't do enough. I think we were overall weak in some big parts of the areas, and I didn't have trust in Joselu and Brahim Diaz to replace the guys that we had lost. So I was very worried about the season ahead. I made the call that we had to improve our defensive solidity to overall succeed this season, and I thought that we really were going to struggle, especially with Barcelona improving in certain areas, especially with other teams in Europe improving in certain areas. I thought we overall hadn't got better, and I thought overall we had probably got worse, and so I wasn't too optimistic, apart from the fact that we obviously have fantastic players, and we could perhaps those players could perhaps and Carlo could perhaps build a team, build a system to try and adapt to the situation around us. And that was my outlook going into the season. But what were your thoughts following the summer transfer window, and what was ahead for us?
Yeah, the main thing I feel this season was that we achieved most of our objectives. Of course, we lost the Copa, I think, quarterfinal at Atletico Madrid, and we did not have an unbeaten season. I think, for me, if you have told us that at the start of the season, we'd have gladly accepted it. I think now we are maybe just a bit disappointed seeing how good we were and the quality of the opposition. So I think that we can do well. I think if we can do well next season if we build on this, because this season was such an important platform for us. I think, for example, like you wouldn't have expected to see that once we came into the season after how the previous season was, we did not strengthen, in my opinion, because, for example, losing Benzema on paper I would say it's like an even trade, even though they do different things. So you lost a lot of star power, and then you replaced it with maybe squad players. And the good news is Real Madrid won, because these squad players stepped up when they needed to. These squad players stepped up when, for example, they were not starters and filling in for a little bit. These squad players are one of the main reasons why Madrid won those big titles. And I'm sure we're going to dive deep into it, but from seeing the squad, which is almost the exact same replica of the previous year when we came in second, I think that's actually amazing.
Yeah, I mean, let's get right into it, because the first few sort of games of the season, I thought we were good at parts, but we were also bad at parts. I thought we obviously started the season off with the system of the diamond in midfield, especially with the 4 young midfielders we started with. We start with Tchouaméni, with Camavinga, with Bellingham, and with Valverde in midfield. In the midfield 4, with obviously we played Fran Garcia from the start at left back, and then Dani Carvajal at the right. We obviously had the concerns of the wing backs not getting up and down like we needed them to, and so that was a genuine concern for me. But so far so good from the first moment the season began. 2-0 Athletic Club win. However, this was overshadowed by the fact that Eder Militao obviously did get an ACL injury during this game and would be gone for the foreseeable future until probably until the end of the season, and where he's playing mostly garbage time minutes. So immediately we lose our best defender, And then, in the following games, we obviously win the games. And, the main highlight of these first few games of the season, 2-0 win against Athletic Club, 3-1 against Almeria, 1-0 against Celta Vigo, 2-1 versus Getafe, 2-1 versus Sociedad, 1-0 versus Union Berlin in the Champions League. They were all, Jude Bellingham had big parts in these games, and he was fantastic from this point of the season, especially in the light that, Vinicius Junior was struggling at this point in the season. I thought Jude Bellingham stepped up massively. He obviously took the goal load from Benzema. He took to that burden, and he thrived. He was fantastic. He scored winners last minute, and he was so clutch from that start point in the season. He was fantastic in scoring these goals, but not only that, his work rate was fantastic throughout these games. He got back defensively, and he provided that thread from the midfield to attack. And I thought in parts the attack did struggle, to create chances. I thought where that happened, Jude Bellingham would always find a goal, and I thought that was always so impressive from him. And he really got us through this initial part of the season, which we did struggle in, and I think, I'm not shy to say that, I think we could have done better, but, overall, we got over the line, we did what we needed to do, and we got all the points necessary out of those games because of Mr. Jude Bellingham coming up big time in these games, and, that did make us overlook what happened with Eder Militao, and overall, I think, it was a really good start to the season with us winning 100% of our La Liga games, and winning our first Champions League game, so, how important was Jude Bellingham in these initial games for the season?
Yeah, well, of course, I think with Bellingham, he is a player who actually saved us at the start of the season because I'm just going to say, I know we're going to touch on it later on, but it was Vinicius who came alive in the second part of the season, but in the first half of the season it was Bellingham, I think maybe 90%, or I'm sure it's over 80% at least of his goals came in the first half of the season. And of course, not only did he save us by scoring 8 goals and playing so well defensively, but I think he actually sacrificed his own position, on the team in terms of his own attacking output, to head the team. I think, Bellingham is a signing that we needed, but maybe we just never knew that we needed due to the fact that he has so many midfielders, but at the end of the day, he actually went and he brought in something different. We needed his energy, we needed his goals from midfield, his runs into the box, his movement, his work ethic. We needed that. And of course, we needed someone to play as a line of still maximize Vinicius and Rodrigo's output on the wing. We needed someone to do that, and I would say that we searched for so many strikers in the world, who we could have signed that could have helped Vinicius and helped Rodrigo. But of course, we got a midfielder who could have done that and bring the team together, something similar to what Benzema did. And he did that, he performed the duties of a striker while playing in more like a number 10. Of course, he had a lot of freedom, but I think a lot of people don't play what he did either because of the quiet second half of the season, but we could just figure out how important that was.
Yeah, and I think you got the nail on the head there, because I think Vinicius Junior, he was obviously adapting to the new role that we needed him to play, which was through the middle slightly more. And obviously that's difficult for a guy who's always hugged the touchline, who always likes to take one-on-one with his winger, and who was always done that so successfully. For that adaptation, it's obviously going to take time, and it obviously did take time. And so Jude Bellingham taking that offensive burden and trying to do it himself, I think, was fantastic from him, and really did help us in these early stretches of the season when Barcelona looked good. When Girona looked good, and when Atleti looked good as well. And speaking of Atleti, we soon were to face the first adversity of the season, where we lost 3-1 to Atleti, in which a game where Diego Simeone completely tactically outclassed us. I think we made plenty of mistakes. We made big mistakes in which we should have realised we did realise where things went wrong, and we acted upon it. I mean, the first thing I've got to mention, post this game, Ancelotti ditched the diamond and went to a more, I don't know how to describe it, but I think it was more the two holding midfielders and then two higher up midfielders. I think that's probably the best way to put it. And I think that worked fantastically, provided some more defensive stability. Definitely helped us in those areas, especially in transitions when we got caught up so many times. It also helped us in offense as well, in which we weren't just playing three attackers only. These guys could bomb forward and burst into the box as well. And so that did help us a lot against Atletico, which we'll talk about later on. But we did manage to adapt beyond that point. Fran Garcia also was criticised heavily after that game. But I think the biggest mistake from that game that Ancelotti took, I think the most important thing that Ancelotti took from that game was the fact that Aurelien Tchouameni is a starter and starts no matter what in those big games. And I think from that point on, he didn't make the mistake in which Tchouameni was the starter, no doubt, and there's no question about it. Especially the fact, if we recall from last season, a lot of those big games, Tchouameni was overlooked in, and we did suffer as a result of that. So I think this was the last time that Ancelotti made that mistake and played Tchouameni and made sure that we wouldn't make that mistake again. So, at the end of the day, it was a disappointing result against Atleti, and obviously now we know that it was the game that lost us the unbeaten streak in La Liga. But at the end of the day, you've got to take those losses and learn from them, which obviously Ancelotti has shown he has done from this season. So what are your thoughts on that first Atleti loss of the season?
Yeah, of course, like you said, basically covered everything. I think Tchouameni and Satan was a bit disappointing. Of course, we actually, the game, like you said, we struggled a lot in terms of the widths, and that's the game we actually switched everything. And Bellingham started playing kind of like a wild position on a lot of occasions, about the defense. I think that specific game was a game when, when everything could have unraveled. The excellent start of the season could have unraveled, and then maybe we could have had another difficult season. But I think kudos to the players for keeping their heads up and working hard and Ancelotti staying calm and making these adjustments. Like you said, these games are the games within the season that's going to define you, whether you adjust it and you come up with solutions to mitigate any sort of challenges arising from the game. And that's what Ancelotti did in terms of internally, understanding the mistakes. I think he did well there. I think for me, it's not particularly true. I'm always seeing the stats saying whenever Tchouameni starts Real Madrid, they'll lose, but we only lost 2 games this season. So I think they're not to say that whenever Jose starts, we don't lose. Whenever Diaz starts, we don't lose. So I think you can use those examples as well. So I think it's not Tchouameni. It's more like whenever we don't have a specific defensive midfielder we struggle at. When it's Camavinga, Tchouameni playing in the defensive midfield position, I think that they would do well. I think anyone could perform the function effectively. I think maybe Camavinga is more like the bench player because I would trust Camavinga off the bench to impact the game more than Tchouameni, especially if we're chasing the game at least. So he learned a lot and he adjusted, which is the main thing that a coach should do, and it's something that we should be happy about. A lot of our coaches in the past maybe might have been stubborn. Maybe if it was Ancelotti himself, he might have been stubborn in terms of making changes, but this season I think he was flexible and he has proven how excellent he can be.
Yeah, and I think the next game in particular showed the flexibility, like you said. Against Las Palmas, we won 2-0, but the most important thing was in this game, we discovered the full length of the squad. We discovered the full depth of the squad, in which Brahim Diaz and Joselu first made their first proper imprint on the season, where they both were fantastic in this game, I thought. And they were both we realised, Ancelotti realised that these guys are going to be important in the season. And I think they they can be definite contributors in the season. I thought Brahim Diaz, especially in this game, was fantastic. I thought his pace, everything, just, it was obviously, we were able to tell. And I think, the story of the season was the fact that despite Vinicius and Rodrigo dipping in form at various points in this season, and Andrew Bellingham, we've got guys behind them to step up. And I think that was the most important thing. The most important thing from this season was the fact that when guys weren't stepping up, other guys would have, and that was so important for us throughout so many games this season, in which we did face adversities, when we were struggling. Guys like Brahim Diaz and Joselu, they both contributed in these moments, and I think overall these guys were fantastic. And the following game against Girona, 3-0, wow, I mean, that was a fantastic game in itself. Joselu once again was fantastic in this game, I thought, and overall really good set of results in which we discovered the full depth of our squad. We then played Napoli 3-2 win, 4-0 Osasuna win, and then we drew 1-1 against Sevilla and then 1-2 against Braga. So how important do you think the full extent of this squad was, and how important do you think these guys, especially Brahim Diaz and Joselu, proved to be throughout the season?
There was some static on the line. I didn't hear a specific question, the second part of the question. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, is it possible you can repeat the second question I did?
Sorry. So how important do you think these guys, especially such from Brahim Diaz and Joselu, have been throughout the season?
I think each player has something different, in my opinion. I think each player could have contributed something. I think Ancelotti realized that accommodated to their strengths. Honestly, I didn't expect Diaz to have the season he had. Honestly, I think he is a better replacement than Asensio, even though Asensio has so many unique moments. I think long term, it turned out to be the better switch, in my opinion. I think he's a better squad player. I think he is a better team player. And Joselu as well, he came in with something so different, compared to other backup strikers. But I think this time he got more opportunities because we actually never had a striker. For example, whether you play Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, Vinicius, Diaz, Rodrigo, whoever the combination was, I think you still needed a striker to come on regardless. I think with the other strikers, that was never the case. Because, for example, if Benzema starts now, you take out Benzema, maybe you can just bring Rodrigo on. But this time you needed a striker on the pitch, and he was the only available striker. I think that's why he got the minutes, that's why he got the opportunity. But the good news is that regardless, whatever excuse you make for the others, he got the opportunity, he took his chances. Of course, you can say the pathway with the minutes for him was much easier. But at the end of the day, he came in and delivered what he had to. I don't know if he would have done that. Maybe he would have was he given the opportunity. But I think with Joselu, the affection was there, seeing that it was an unexpected signing. He just didn't expect much, but he kept on delivering. So the more goals he scored, the better it became. With similar with Brahim Diaz, the more he contributed, the better it became, because he simply didn't expect it. At the start of the season, I said it's not their fault that Madrid didn't sign a replacement for Benzema and Asensio. I think they are going to come into replace, let's say, Diaz and Hazard. Brahim Diaz would replace Hazard, and Joselu would replace Mariano. They exceeded expectations. They outplayed the players that they came in to replace, and now you can finally say that Madrid is finally replacing Benzema with Mbappe, and then you can say, you know what, these guys are going to play less minutes, but they perform their function well. Ancelotti placed them in a system where they can function properly. Because I don't think that he is a starter even with the B team, because you want to beat him, you need your striker to be chopping deep to facilitate play, etc. I think that has really kind of affected some of our plays. Of course, his link-up was not good. There were some moments when his link-up was excellent. But there were games when he was so quiet when he started, that he just never recovered. Of course, we didn't want the pitch to get his goals, but in games he was so quiet because he was so not impactful because he doesn't offer much. But in terms of what he can contribute, I think he did well. His movement into the box was good. His striking instincts was good. But in games like when you need someone like, I guess, Benzema to drop people, I don't think that's his function. So that's why I've always been saying he's not a starter for me, but he's someone who can come on and make a good impact on the bench.
Yeah, and I think he definitely has done that this season, especially in some big games, which we'll discuss later on. Then the next game, obviously, the big El Clasico, first El Clasico of the season, but it's going to be a big one because, Barcelona were hot on our tails. But ended up as a 2-1 win, and this will be forever known as the game that Jude Bellingham descended into Real Madrid cult hero history. He completely turned the game on its head. Barcelona were dominating, they were playing fantastic football, and they had us where they wanted us. But then Jude Bellingham hits one from 30 yards out, and Ter Stegen can't do anything about it. Then last minute of the game, this guy comes out of nowhere, goes over Modric's head, and Jude Bellingham goes and taps it in. And that is the 2-1 win against Barcelona, and it was just fantastic. This is such a big win, and for a guy 20 years old, it was such a huge victory to have under his belt as well, because I think it just compounded all everything that everyone has seen so far that season. It all came in the biggest game of the season, the biggest fixture in the world. Jude Bellingham descended and came and played a fantastic game. So it was a fantastic win for Real Madrid. And how important do you think that win was to set our season up?
Yeah, I think the Clasico is always important psychologically. It gives you the mental strength and the mental edge, and the other Clasico that may have, whether it's the Super Cup or the return leg, whether it's the Bernabeu Cup, winning the first one is always important. And I think that it also gives the players confidence that they can win these big games. Of course, it really helps Bellingham a lot, because in the previous games, I think he missed out against Atletico Madrid. So of course he needed this big performance in Spain. Of course he was killing it in the other games in the Champions League. He was killing it against Napoli, which was the other big game that we played. But he needed that goal in that big game, to step up when the team needed him the most. I think that's actually the game when you can say, that's the game where he officially paid back his 100 million. That's like even before half the season passed. Even before he won the Champions League and the Liga double, that's the game where he officially paid back his 100 million tag, because he officially contributed more than so many players after that performance. Players who've been here for years, in less than half a season, he contributed more than what they did. And I have to say that game gave us the confidence that, we are going to go on to win the league as long as we continue on this path. And of course, Ancelotti, I don't think he played his best game that day. I think he made mistakes in the lineup, and I think he still continues to do so, but at the end of the day, he reacts to it a bit better now compared to previous seasons, and makes the changes a bit faster now. With Camavinga coming on, I think he knows the changes that he has to make to help the team. I think that's what he did.
Yeah, and I think we obviously will see that later on in the season, where these games happen again, and Ancelotti does make those same mistakes. So following this Barcelona win, 0-0 against Rayo, which was the only game which we failed to score in, apart from the final La Liga game of the season, which nobody watched apart from the Cruz tribute. But then after that, 3-0 Braga win, then an exceptional 5-1 victory against Valencia, which I thought was probably one of the only games, especially in this first half of the season, where all three of our front three turned up. Vinicius was fantastic, Rodrigo and Bellingham were all playing fantastic football, and they all were great in this game. Then a 3-0 win against Cadiz, and then a 4-2 victory against Napoli, in which Nico Paz scored a fantastic goal and really got everyone looking at him. Which we wouldn't see for the rest of the season because he obviously didn't get much playing time post that moment. Then after that, 2-0 win against Granada, a 1-1 win, a draw against Betis, then 3-2 win against Union Berlin, which concluded the Champions League group stage, in which we finished 6 of 6 in the group, which had been never done before in Real Madrid history, which is kind of crazy considering our history in the tournament. But it goes to show how consistent we were this season in getting our victories, even if it did require a last minute scrap or something like that. We did get our victory in the end, and so it was a really good group stage from us, and we got the job done, which is the most important thing. But the following game, 4-1 win against Villarreal, a really good game it was from us. We played a fantastic game. Villarreal didn't really have a chance, but the worst thing was third ACL injury of the season. David Alaba goes down, and that is us done. That is us gone to 2 centre-backs for the season, and it was really, really sad to see. I mean, David Alaba hadn't been having himself one of his best seasons. I think he was playing quite a poor season up until that point, but you still lose such a key figure at the back, leader, a fantastic player when he can play his best, and that best is going to come in a big game. I think losing David Alaba is such a key thing, especially the fact that Nacho hadn't been playing great himself either. And so you're down to bare bones, you're stuck with Nacho and Rudiger from that point at the end of the season. And so you're thinking, is there going to be an emergency centre-back signing? Are you going to bring Rafa Marin back? But at the end of the day, that was a really disappointing point of the season where we lost one of our key players. And so I was really concerned, and I know a lot of Madridistas were as well. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on David Alaba going down with the injury?
Yeah, like you said, bringing him back from loan was the best decision. But eventually I just accepted it because I realized that when he comes back on it, would Ancelotti trust him in a big game like he did with Chouameni? No, I don't think so. So, for example, I think he'd have been in the same situation like Van Persie, when Mendy don't play. If it's a big game, France is not going to get any minutes. Camavinga will be the guy playing left back. So I think he'd have been in quite of a similar situation. If for example, all of our other centre back is injured, Nacho and Tony, he's going to play Chouameni over Rafa, and he's still going to have developed. I think the right decision was made for the player's sake. Now he's going to Napoli, and I think maybe we should sign someone, but I don't think Rafa was the ideal option because he is never going to get the minutes. The only player who I could have thought about was maybe someone like Sergio Ramos or something like that. But for me,
we were talking about Pepe at the time as well.
Yeah, Pepe, but in the end, I think the best decision was to sign someone, but it worked out. I think we were lucky in that aspect. I don't think that something like this works in our favor if that was next season, because, for example, teams would be stronger next season. You have the option to buy someone after a major injury, then you should take it. Because, for example, with Chouameni playing centre-back, there would be flaws and teams would figure him out unless he constantly plays centre-back and keeps getting better. But the right decision was made to not sign Rafa back to the club, but the best decision would have been to sign a player. But with Chouameni, kudos to him for stepping up. He was the most catered player to come in and perform that function. So I think he did well. I think it was a difficult time for us when we thought that the season would have collapsed after that, or maybe the league would have been a bit closer. But at the end of the day, Ancelotti found the solution, and then we're here now at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to transition from defensive midfield to centre-back. You're going to be making rash decisions which you can get away with it in the midfield because you're not the last line of defence at the end of the day. And so Kudos to Tchouaméni, like you said, getting that playing like that, especially with the fact that this is a role you're not familiar with, you're not really used to. The fact that he looked really composed and didn't look like an odd man out, I think that was the most important thing. At the end of the day, I didn't need him to be, the best defender in the world, best centre back in the world. I didn't need him to be nominated for Ballon d'Or or anything like that. But what I did need from him was just solid displays after solid displays and making sure that teams couldn't take advantage of him, and which he did do. So it was fantastic from him. And like you said, we did 100% get lucky. That most times we don't get that lucky. Nacho goes down with something. Rudiger goes down with something for a couple of weeks. Maybe we struggle with that, but. We did 100% get lucky in that moment of the season, and thank God we did. But you just gotta keep it going at that point, and we go back into the next season and we look good. So yeah, let's move on. 1-0 win against Alaves, really big game that was, because we got a red card. Nacho got a silly red card in that game, and Lucas Vasquez came up big, 94th minute header off a corner, which small right backs taking scoring headers definitely wouldn't have repeat itself later on in the season. But yeah, fantastic from Lucas Vasquez, always going to come up big for us, and continues to do so. So yeah, I'm so happy with Lucas Vasquez, and now he's going to get the new deal. He'll be with us for another season, and he will 100% score next season to continue his streak of scoring practically every year. So yeah, that was fantastic from him. A 1-0 win against Mallorca. Same thing. Rudiger got the header this time. Really important win from us. 3-1 win against Argentina. And then we head to Saudi Arabia for the Supercopa de España, and it was a huge game against Atletico Madrid. 5-3 win, and come up big in the Supercopa. Brahim Diaz obviously had the final goal, which was a fantastic one, where he beats Oblak to the ball and then scores from the halfway point. And it was fantastic from us, to get our revenge on Atleti, especially for what they've done to us earlier this season. So yeah, so a 5-3 win for against Atleti, and then we continue against Barcelona. But let's start with the Atleti win. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I think it's a game where I'm not too sure if the game where Kepa made that mistake. I think I would just say that, in my opinion, it's the only mistake he made this season. I think Luna was actually the starter after that game because he had the better performances. But in terms of mistake, I think it's the only mistake that Kepa has made. I think it came after when Luna was playing so well, and it was the first big game that Kepa played. And I think with the mistake that he made, it kind of changed everything, because he didn't have a bad season at all, in my opinion. A lot of people would say he did, but he had a decent season. Then he got injured and then took over, and he started that game and made a mistake. I think that changed everything. Even a lot of big Madrid YouTube pages would say, he didn't have a good season. He could have done better in some goals, but with this mistake is the only one. For me, I'm a bit disappointed that it was after that game, he played one more game. Then he missed 3 months and came back against Sociedad. Then played like 20 minutes in the season. And I felt a bit bad for him because if you understand football, you understand that he didn't have a bad season. There was just someone better than him. And sometimes you just can't do anything about it when it's just someone's time to shine. And I think he felt he was in that position. Long term, I think after that game in particular, I think this game actually, it's not just this game, but this tournament actually gave us a lot of confidence. Because going into these mid-season tournaments, it's such a mental hurdle if you exert so much energy and you lost. But in that Atletico Madrid game, you exerted so much energy to come back from behind and eventually win 5-3. Everyone was important in that game. Everyone worked hard, and just showing how important Ancelotti maximized his squad. From taking off Vinicius and Rodrigo and having Jose on the field scoring goals. I think everyone contributed It was a game where you can really see the mentality of the players that maybe prepared us for these big Champions League nights.
Yeah, I think you said everything. I mean, Kepa, at the end of the day, it was just, Lunin was better than him, and at the end, I had no problem with Kepa. I think he wasn't obviously I didn't feel safe with him at points, but at the end of the day, he didn't do anything wrong apart from that Atleti game. And so you can't really look at him and say he didn't do his job. He did his job, which was to keep the ball out of the net most of the times. And apart from that game, he was all right. So yeah, fine. But then the game after, 4-1 win against Barcelona. But this was the point where Vinicius started to change his season around, and I think this was the point where things clicked for Vinicius. He played Araujo off the pitch. This is the second time in a couple of months where Real Madrid scored 4 against Barcelona. We absolutely smacked Barcelona up, and it was also coincided with the fact that Vinicius had a fantastic game as well. So I think there's no coincidences there. I think Vinicius is the key to us beating Barcelona every single time, and I think he was fantastic. He completely played out Araujo off the park. And Araujo obviously got the red card and the penalty. Vinicius scores the hat-trick. It was his best performance in a Real Madrid shirt, in my opinion. And he was fantastic. And, this is the point where things started to look up for Vinicius Jr. We win the Supercopa de España, and Barcelona are embarrassed, which, I always love to see, because throughout my lifetime, I've never really seen Real Madrid embarrass Barcelona, but I've seen plenty of embarrassments going the other way. So, to finally get our own back on Barcelona is really good. But at the end of the day, another trophy for Real Madrid and for this team. Really important to get off the bat, especially with this trophy. But we were to lose another trophy following this game. We'll get onto that in a second. But what are your thoughts on the win against Barcelona?
Yeah, like I said, I think that's the win where Vinicius, like you said, I mean, that's the game where Vinicius actually it gave him the confidence, in my opinion, because I think sometimes he was lacking in confidence after his injury. We forgot that he had a difficult couple of injuries at the start of the season. He wasn't really picking up speed, and of course it was just more Jude Bellingham saving the team, Rodrigo having his come on hot and cold spells, Diaz stepping up on occasions, and of course Vinicius and Rodrigo both scored 2 against Valencia, but I think it was a one-off game compared to how both players started the season until this one. And then I think after that game, Vinicius started scoring more consistently throughout the La Liga season. And it was, of course, mentally a good. Of course, it's always good to beat Barcelona. It's always good to win a title. It's always difficult to leave for those mid-season tournaments and not come back as the champion. Last season got on us, and it was a bit difficult. Barcelona took control of the league. But this year, we took control of everything. Even after that, we continued on our path. Yes, there were down moments after that. But in terms of big games, I think these are the big games that we had to really on to give us confidence to win more big games later on.
This was also the point in which Barcelona's season would go into shit, and ultimately, I think we compounded everything in this one game, and I think at this point, Barcelona was starting to write off the season. I think, and I think, it was really important to get Barcelona down and done, and I think this win was really important. But then we were soon to face more problems, where we faced Atletico Madrid again in the Copa del Rey, in which they beat us 4-2, loss against Atleti. It was a really bad loss. I'm not going to try and put it any other way. I think it was so obvious that every person in the team was exhausted completely, and they just couldn't do anything. It was so obvious that, the goals that Atleti scored late on, they done, and I can't blame them for the loss. But it was another season, another Copa del Rey loss prematurely, and another season in which we can't complete a treble, a season we should have completed a treble. So yeah, I was disappointed, but you know I can't blame them. They were really tired. They couldn't carry on. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that Atleti loss?
Yeah, of course. It turned out to be the loss that declined us the opportunity to win the treble. But at the end of the day, there's so many small factors that can change your season. Maybe if we win that game, you never know. It could have affected our season in terms of going deep in the Champions League and eventually winning it. But regardless, losing to Atletico Madrid, it's always difficult because we had a better team than Atletico Madrid. We had a better coach, we had the better players, and we had the better, I would say, structure than Atletico Madrid. To lose as always because we didn't show up. It's never because they outplayed us. It's because we made a mistake. We did something wrong. The coach should have done this better. The team didn't play much intensity. It's always something that we could have done differently. I think that was the case again. Atletico Madrid, whenever they beat us, that's always a situation, in my opinion. It's never because they had a better team. I think this was one of the instances where that was evident. We lacked intensity, we lacked fluidity, we had a lot of possession sometimes, and we lacked that final pass into the attacker and get the ball into dangerous places. Like the pass before the final pass, we lacked that, especially those passes in the attacking third. I think that's sometimes common at Madrid in these games against teams that play in the blocks. We control the game, passing in the middle is good, but when you get to the attacking third, we struggle. I think that was one of the instances where that happened. Of course, it's a common Madrid team for the past 5 years, I believe. So there's not much you can do about it now. Maybe it can change next season, but that was a typical Madrid game where we would lose and show away because we just weren't up for it, in my opinion. Not weren't up for it, but we just didn't we didn't go into second game, which was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, 100%. And hopefully we can switch it back on and try and win the treble back again next year. But knowing our luck, we obviously will mess up in one tournament and then yeah, whatever. But yeah, then we move on. A really controversial game is Almeria came up next, in which we won 3-2 at the death. Then following a 2-1 Las Palmas win, 2-0 Getafe win, in which Joselu scored 2 goals and turned into Cristiano Ronaldo for that one game. Then a 1-1 draw against Atleti, once again Atleti causing us problems, and they were the second team to get results in both games, apart from Rayo Vallecano. So yeah, they obviously had a good time against us this season, and it was a disappointing game, especially because we lost the game at the death. It's normally us doing the damage, but Marcos Llorente scored a goal at the end, which really caused us. It was really annoying, but a 1-1 draw, especially with the situation we had in that game, is not the worst result. Then 4-0 versus Girona. Now this is the game in which I think La Liga title wrapped up. Apart from a total collapse, which obviously didn't happen with the benefit of hindsight, La Liga title was wrapped up points this game because Girona, this is the game where we put Girona's title hopes in a blender and chucked it away. Vinicius completely torched Jan Couto, and I think that was the main highlight of the game. Vinicius continually destroyed that man's hopes of joining Real Madrid next season. Real Madrid completely. It was Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. completely torching Girona, and it was that was beautiful to see. So, what are your thoughts on this game, which completely ended Girona's title hopes?
Similar to the Valencia game in the first half of the season, I think this is a game where we completely dominated and we got everything. Almost everything. I can't remember the minor details, and maybe we could have done better, but in the long term, we're not going to remember that. So I think we got everything right. We played the players in the best possible position. I think it's the last game where Jude Bellingham was like a main goal scoring threat, which when you look back at it, it's a bit disappointing because he was our main goal scoring threat for the entire season. Then after that game, he scored 2, he got injured. I think that was the only low point, the Bellingham injury, because our attack was so fluid, we were so dangerous. but Bellingham got injured. I think it kind of affected him a bit. It affected his form. But we won the game and clear off the league. But I think the Bellingham injury was really concerning after that one. I think that was the injury bigger than Alaba. Bigger Alaba getting injured. In 2024, I do apologize because Bellingham was the main man that season, so him getting injured. And if Vinicius hadn't stepped up, I believe that our season could have taken him for the list if Bellingham didn't come at his best. But good news is that, of course he came back. I'm not really going to get to that, but that Bellingham injury was a really big talking point after that game because they were told that he would have missed a month, 3 weeks. It was so unclear due to the type of injury, but eventually didn't turn out to be anything that major, and he missed some games that not playing.
Yeah, I mean, following this game, we obviously had the first round of 16 Champions League game against Leipzig. And first game, 1-0 in Leipzig. Brahim Diaz with a Messi-type goal at the end of the day. It was genuinely ridiculous the way he dribbled past the defenders and scored that fantastic goal with his left foot. That probably might be my goal of the season for Real Madrid. Might be. But fantastic from him. And then in the second leg, we were horrible. I'm just gonna say it may have been the worst I've seen Real Madrid perform against a so-called lesser team in speech marks. I think Leipzig were fantastic. If they didn't waste so many chances, they were very well could have knocked us out because they completely dominated us 0-90. That we had no answer for them. And we were very lucky to get out of that tie alive somehow. Throughout both legs, I thought Leipzig were better than us. We had that Šeško goal, not Šeško, it was Campbell, whose goal was disallowed. We were very lucky in that game, but in those two games. But overall, we got the job done somehow. Came out of there alive, 2-1 on aggregate, and somehow Real Madrid passed Leipzig, but they played ridiculously well and nearly locked us out. So what are your thoughts on the Leipzig games?
I don't think we're that good at either game. We gave up so many chances, we didn't dominate or control the game. It's as simple as that. We locked, I think Madrid normally sit back in these Champions League games. I don't know why, but I think yes, we sit back and yes, we eventually win since 2022, since actually I took over, but at some point in time, these are the games that can cost us. If it's a bigger team, if even in a lesser game, these games can cost us. Like against Ajax, it cost us, and we didn't learn the lesson from 14-15 when Schalke nearly knocked us out. So Ajax cost us. So that this game actually reminded me of these two games: the Schalke 14-15 game and the Ajax 18-19 game. We would not been dominated by a smaller team. Not a small team, but a small team in the competition compared to Madrid. We could have been eliminated. It's as simple as that. And eventually, we have to accept that. But that's what Real Madrid does. But it doesn't change the fact that it's something that we have to look at when it comes to evolving as a team. Definitely games like this, when we just don't have an answer to even control games, I think this is something we have to look at in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously did look at that, but I don't know how much better it got. In between those two games, by the way, we also played Rayo, 1-1 draw, 1-0 Sevilla win, and then 2-2 at Mestalla against Valencia, in which Vinicius was fantastic. Jesus Gil Manzano was not in that game, and my head was on fire after that game. After Gil Manzano called the whistle before we scored that goal somehow while the ball was mid-air. But what can you do? It didn't cost us throughout the season, so whatever. But it could have, and that's the most important thing. But Vinicius, that's what you call fighting through adversity. Fighting through a team that obviously clearly hates you, fighting through a stadium that hates you, throwing racist abuse at you, and scoring 2 goals in that hostile environment. That's what I'm talking about from Vinicius Junior. That was fantastic from him, and I think that really was fantastic. So what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I think it would have been remembered by the mistake from the official, but at the end of the day, it was Vinicius' game. He scored 2 goals and showed that he can be a number 9. Because it wasn't like the typical Vinicius goal, it was more number 9 finishes. And I think in that environment, for him to have that performance, could have only done wonders for him as a player, similar to the Barcelona game. So I was really happy for him. Of course, I was disappointed with the mistake at the end, because that's the game Jude Bellingham came back and then he had to miss so much more games after that as well. I feel like too much after he already missed like 4 or 5. So I think it was a bit disappointed how it ended, but kudos to Vinicius for continuing to do well after that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Cristiano Ronaldo type performance where he just brute forced his way past a team that clearly hates him so much. It was fantastic from him. But up after that Leipzig game, 4-0 win against Celta Vigo, in which Arda Güler got his first goal for Real Madrid. It was really, really exciting at that point. 4-2 Osasuna win, 2-0 Athletic Club win, and then Manchester City on the Champions Leagues. First game 3-3. It was a free-for-all in the game, and it just looked like any point and any position a player could score. That's what happened in the end. Bernardo Silva with that free goal at the start, free kick at the start, when Lunin should have got to it. I think Lunin, that was a mistake. Then Real Madrid immediately responds. Rodrigo scores 1, scores 2. No, own goal. Was it own goal? I can't remember what it was. It was Rodrigo.
The Camavinga one was.
Oh yeah, Camavinga. Yeah, okay. So Camavinga, Rodrigo gets us 2-1 up. Then Foden and Guardiola decide to have long-range attempts that rifle past Lunin, which you can't really do much about. And then Valverde scores probably another goal of the season contender, in which he just drills it past Ortega, and that was a fantastic goal from him. So it was a really entertaining game, that game for the neutrals. For me, I was just really, really annoyed because I thought we should have got a result at the Bernabeu. I thought we were better than them, and there was not many opportunities to be better than Manchester City, and especially with what had happened the previous season at the Etihad, I thought this was a missed opportunity. I thought we had a really low chance of going through, not a total uncertain chance of going through, but I was not happy with that result. But in the reverse fixture, in the second leg, Real Madrid play Manchester City. We score up early with Rodrigo scoring, and we sit back. We still absorb so much pressure. It was a fantastic defensive performance, but it was so scary throughout the game. I was so nervous. You couldn't get out. We were just stuck in that area for so long. And then Manchester City score, and it just feels like things are going to get away from us. But Real Madrid held on. They held on. They kept holding on until the final minute, until the final whistle gets blown. Penalty shootout. Modric misses immediately, and then it feels, oh no, we're going to lose this. Then a couple misses from Manchester City, from Bernardo Silva, and then from Kovacic. Rudiger with a chance to finish the game off, and he does. He ices the game. Real Madrid advance past Manchester City, where we had lost 4-0 in the previous season. Real Madrid comes back and rights the wrongs of the previous year, and they advanced to the Champions League semi-final. What a result this was. What a few results this was. We obviously didn't beat City in either game, but it didn't matter in the end. Advancing past City and causing these problems for City, it was fantastic from us. I was so happy with this game. Despite our performance, I was more than happy with us advancing. And so, what were your thoughts on the City win?
I think it was so weird because you'll be so happy that you won, but at the end of the day, you look at it, you were dominated so much. It's like one of these survival stories when you struggle so much, and in the end, there's like total happiness when you eventually survive like 20 days in the wilderness, and you somehow survive it. They struggle so much when you're eventually so happy. I think it's maybe something like that. But at the end of the day, it's a game where you look at it and you say, this team really needs to do better to dominate games and go on one of these big teams. We really need to start just dominating games and not showing fear against teams like Manchester City. But at the end of the day, you look at it and say, you know what, we lost 1-0 there last day. We could have been eliminated. We hindered Manchester City from going to Champions League back to back. That's what we did, and I'm happy with that. And we showed yet again that it gave us a confidence, in my opinion, and it should give us a confidence to take steps forward the following year that we can be this team again. And all we have to do now is just beat them in a more spectacular manner in the following season. So, mixed feelings after that game, but in the end of the day, we are so relieved that we finally won at the Etihad. Even though we didn't win at the Etihad, we celebrated at the Etihad, and we went on to the next phase, Manchester City, with a better team in the second leg. Like you said, we were a better team in the first leg, City better in the second leg, but we won. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and the following game, El Clasico, this was the Lucas Vazquez El Clasico. He was terrific. This might have been the best game I've seen Lucas Vazquez ever play. He was terrific, and especially with the fact that he has to come up against Jamal Musiala in the next leg, in the next tie in the Champions League. He was ridiculously good. He won a penalty, he scored a goal, provided the assist for the winner as well. So, Lucas Vazquez legacy game there. 1-0 win against Real Sociedad, and then we come up against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Good old Bayern Munich in the Champions League. After so many years, Real Madrid finally come up against Bayern, and first leg was a classic. Vinicius Jr. with both goals out of practically nowhere. Everyone scored against the run of play. Bayern Munich with two big response goals. Despite Bayern Munich having a poor season, they're always a threat. But second leg, Bayern Munich go up early despite soaking up so much pressure, with Alphonso Davies scoring off the left wing. And then Mr. Joselu. This might have been I don't care if Joselu, he's obviously now going to Al Gharafa. I just think, these type of players, him and Chicharito will forever live in Real Madrid history, because they brought these fantastic moments to Real Madrid that will be forever remembered. I mean, this guy scored 2 goals against Bayern Munich after being subbed on in the 81st minute. This is ridiculous. You don't get these type of stories, and for a lone player, a guy who nobody expected anything from Espanyol, 34 years of age. I saw him flop at Newcastle. He was horrible at Newcastle. He was horrible at Newcastle and he was horrible at Stoke. You just felt like this guy wasn't amounting to anything. You really probably end up in Malaga in 2 years' time in the second tier. You just felt like this guy was nothing in the Premier League, and here he is scoring 2 goals against Bayern Munich in the Champions League semi-final to take you to the final. I just think you don't get those stories anywhere else. And thank you to Joselu Matu, and I think he might be gone now. I think it's fair enough. I think for a player like him, I do criticize other players for going to Saudi Arabia and taking the money. For a guy like Joselu to go to Qatar, I think it's not a bad idea, because at the end of the day, he's not a high earner in his career. He hasn't never been a higher earner in his career. So to make his earnings now, I think is fair enough. So good luck to him in Qatar, and go get that bag, bro. I think he was. You're always gonna remember those moments, and Joselu Mata created 2 of those moments. So thank you, Joselu. What are your thoughts on this tie?
He did the right thing in leaving after that against United. I think he's the best long striker of all time. Of course, Javier Hernandez is excellent, and he scored that similar type goal against Atletico Madrid, but with Joselu, we went on to win the Champions League. So I think with Javier Hernandez, you're going to forget that, but with Joselu, we went on to win the Champions League. And also, we're going to remember that those are the 2 goals that sent us through, similar to Rodrigo against City. Those are the 2 goals that got us to the Champions League. I think that's what matters. Winning the titles contributed to the title. We can't blame Javier Hernandez who didn't win the Champions League, but of course it's unfortunate for him. Although, yeah, you're correct. He deserved to leave on a high. Maybe if he had left on next year, it just wouldn't have been the same. Um, because you know he's leaving on a high when he's getting minutes, and he can clear the pathway for guys like Endrick and Aguilar to soak up the minutes that he's missing. I'm kind of happy that he's leaving as well, because we don't want his perception to change compared to this season. He's going to get more minutes, other guys are going to get more minutes. He's going to get the money he deserves after the season he's had. Of course, like I said, with Joselu, he's not really a starter, and hopefully other guys can take as well as the impact sub off the bench. I'm sure Hendrick can do that. Who came on and scored some late goals as well. We're going to miss, of course, those headers and stuff late, but hopefully other guys can maybe just pick up what he does in small pieces. It's not much, it's the striker instinct, of course. The danger in the air. Maybe Bellingham can help out in winning those high balls in the air, but it's not his game, so you can't really expect him to do that. I think we have to just classify it as a one-off season. We don't really try to replace someone like that. He wasn't that good in link-up play. He wasn't that good when he started. He's just a pure bench player who's going to come on and get the goals when he's focusing on scoring alone. So I'm not going to say we're going to try to replace it, but there are other players who can do a better job than what he does, like Hendrick, in my opinion. Argula can do a better job than what Josu does in terms of if he starts. So looking back at it, it's the best decision for all parties. I think it ended on the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to leaving on a high, like you said. The memories of him is always going to be high, which is what a player like him probably should desire. And I think now he's going to make his money as well. So yeah, good luck to Joselu. But to finish off La Liga the season, 4-0 win against Granada, 5-0 against Alaves, 4-4 against Villarreal, and then 0-0 versus Betis. Fantastic La Liga season wrapped up, and top of the table, 99 points. So really close to 100 points. But at the end of the day, we did fall short. But yeah, really good La Liga season. Almost unbeaten, one game shy of unbeaten, which was so agonising now to look back on. But what can you do at the end of the year, at the end of the season? But Champions League final, 2-0 game against Dortmund. Dani Carvajal comes up big and scores the winner in the Champions League final. It's so huge. And then Vinicius obviously scores as well to get his Ballon d'Or case up and running. So yeah, I'm so happy with this team. Champions League and League double is fantastic, especially for where we were at the end of the last season. To come back this year and do it like this. So in the 2 years of doing this and 3 years of doing this podcast, anyway, actually we can technically count the 4 years. In the 4 years of doing this podcast, the first year we went trophyless, so not a good start. But then the second year, league and Champions League double. In the third year, trophyless, and in the fourth year, hopefully, league and title double. So hopefully in the fifth year, we can break the streak and we can maybe go trophyless next season, especially with the new signings coming in. But yeah, fantastic season overall. We exceeded expectations, and for next year there are going to be even bigger expectations. Mbappe and Endrick coming in, Arda Güler's minutes getting bigger. You're currently the Euros and the Copa America going around. Some of our guys are playing really nice football right now. Arda Güler, good luck to him for Turkey, especially. I hope Turkey get advance, and good luck to the guys who aren't even playing for Real Madrid right now. Especially looking at Cristiano right there. Hopefully he can score some goals, because he hasn't been doing so far. But have you got anything else to say on the season as a whole, or on the Euros or Copa America? Hello? Your mic be muted.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the fact that I think next season might be a bit more difficult. I think, of course, people underestimate how easy it is for attackers to gel, especially like when they play the same positions and then to occupy the same space. It's a bit difficult for that to happen. So yeah, I'm really happy with what we did this season. But if there's any coach, in my opinion, who can make this team click, it's going to be Ancelotti. So I'm happy at least for the first season we have Mbappe. We have Ancelotti as a coach. Maybe Alonso can come next season, but at least for the season, I need Ancelotti.
Yeah. So yeah, really good season from us. Ancelotti, fourth year Ancelotti. Let's see how that works. Yeah. You know, it's going to be a really exciting season next year. A lot of teams going to be competing, trying to knock us down. Thank you to Girona for making a fantastic title race, you know, an unexpected title race, a unique title race. But obviously they did fall short, which, you know, is still been a fantastic season for Girona, nonetheless. Barcelona are probably going to be back next season and looking better. But yeah, good luck to everyone in the Copa America and to everyone in the Euros as well. So just a quick finishing off. Sean, who are your picks for the Euros and Copa America? Who do you think will win?
It's a bit difficult. Sometimes the best team doesn't win, especially at the start of the season. At the start of the tournament, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, they're all on the same side. It's difficult to tell. Germany is playing the best football now, so it's difficult to tell. Honestly, I think England would make the final, and I think England could win, if I'm being honest. And I'm saying that because I don't think that they can mess this one up, seeing that the best team on their side, Italy, is knocked out. Netherlands isn't that good. I think England could win, especially because they don't have to go through two of Germany, Spain, Portugal, and France. Netherlands might be the biggest team they face, and they're better than Netherlands. And in terms of, I think it's going to be a Germany, England final, or Portugal, England final. So for me, I think England would be, if I have to pick one, because I will of course pick one of France, Spain, Germany, and Portugal. But seeing that I can't pick between either one of them because they're all on the same side, that's why I'm picking England.
Okay. What about Copa America though?
I think Uruguay is looking really good. I think they have the best team so far, so I think I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think, under Bielsa, they have been one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I'd really like to see Uruguay win as well. For my Euros pick, England bore the hell out of me. It's so bad. Genuinely, I think this might be one of the most boring England teams I've seen in a while. Today, obviously, we played Slovakia. Hopefully they win, but you know, at this point, I'm not sure of anything for England. I think they should be. You know, Southgate shouldn't bottle this side. There's no way they can. Surely, we'll see what happens there. But I would say I will still stick with my prediction of Germany to win the Euros, and then on the other side in Copa America, I think I'm gonna go for Colombia to win. I think I just feel like this Colombia team feels different. James looks fantastic right now somehow. Luis Diaz just looks to step up a notch every time he plays for Colombia, and all these guys look like this looks like the best Colombia team I've seen since 2014. So I hope either one of Colombia or Uruguay win. But yeah, let's see what happens there. But that is it for today's Los Blancos podcast. I hope you guys have enjoyed the season review. We'll be back with season 5 of the Los Blancos podcast. But that for now, that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.